I was on the phone still with the 911 operator as I went into the house.
Did he say how he did it?
No, I don't know if it's true. I'm gonna be there in 1 minute.
I think that I just thought, no, not possible. Let's go see for yourself.
I would suggest not going in if he's done that.
He might have lied. I don't know.
Jesse is one big ball of spite. I mean, he has infinite hatred. He gained so much joy out of other people's fear and pain.
Hello? Oh my God.
Bad people exist, and I happen to be related to one of the worst people I know.
You and your sister get along well? Yeah. How are you doing now?
Jesse had intentions to kill me, and he still does right now. It's also extra devastating because he's up for parole.
I just lost it. I remember what I did, but I don't remember, doing it.
I'm extremely fearful for my life. He might get out one day. Sweet and playful and childish, but when I guess the cameras weren't present, he was already kind of different. Jesse was always kind of quiet, withdrawn. He never really fit in. It honestly makes me a little sad that he could have been so cute and innocent at one point. Looking at this photo and trying to think of happy circumstances I might have shared with him, I can't. His goal in life generally was just to try to make us as miserable as he was. My mom had one of the hardest moral compasses I have ever encountered in my entire life. She raised us to know right from wrong. However, I don't remember a time when he wasn't a liar. I think probably the earliest memory I have in terms of manipulation is the Oreo story. We didn't have a lot of junk food in the house, and I remember one instance she bought this pack of Oreos.
Jesse, Amy, come here, please.
And I remember Jesse being probably 8, maybe 9, and he ate almost the whole pack in one sitting.
Who ate all these?
And through gritted black teeth, Oreos full in his teeth, he said that I had eaten them.
Jesse, I see the crumbs in your teeth.
Mom made it a very strong point, though, to tell us, hey, if you lie to me, I won't be able to believe you. It'll be like the boy who cried wolf. And he just wouldn't step down from that lie.
But I only had one. She ate all the others.
Jesse absolutely knew right from wrong.
I'm not lying.
I think that he almost got off on knowing his actions were wrong and that he was getting away with them.
Fine.
He taught himself to do whatever he had to do to get whatever he wanted.
Go.
This is probably my favorite photo of the three of us. Not because it's the best photo of us, but because it really kind of painfully illustrates our dynamic a bit. That smug smirk on his face. I don't remember him being a happy kid. I don't remember him smiling a lot. And I can see in this smile the mockery. It almost looks like he's laughing at how much she adores him. It looks like she's seeing him for who she wants to see him for and not who he actually was. I was in 4th grade and he was in about 7th grade. Things were absolutely already tumultuous in our home. He would pick a fight about everything. Chores, food, mess. It doesn't matter. There was a constant fight. And the very first violent act he executed was punching a hole in the wall in our house. There were so many holes punched in the wall, probably 10 or 15 holes this deep in our walls. And we would worry he'd hit us. He'd punch a hole and say, "That could be your face." Why was he full of so much anger? We tried to make an excuse. We tried to figure it out.
Jesse, what is going on?
Nothing.
And sometimes that excuse can be my dad's absence. My dad left my mom before I was born. I really do think Jesse never got over the feeling of being abandoned from my father. But there are plenty of fatherless children who are still fully functioning adults.
You have to stop this.
Or what?
And I think he allowed himself to get more and more angry as the years went on because he always thought things should have been easier for him.
Go to your room.
I think that is his very first excuse towards the path that he chose in life. As his behavior became so out of control, my mom started seeking help from medical professionals, and nobody seemed to know what to do with him. He was being detained in teen rehabilitation centers, then sent home afterwards, and he became extremely angry and volatile. One day, I remember there was a knock on our door randomly, and my mom answered, and there were just some people in suits. They told her they were from CPS, Child Protective Services, and they needed us outside. So they pulled my brother and I outside.
I just need to ask you a few questions, okay?
I knew something was wrong. I knew something was weird. This wasn't right. They were asking me questions like, "Does your mom ever hit you?"
Has she ever hurt you guys?
No way.
My mom was my best friend. No, absolutely not. And you know, when they're like lifting up my shirt, checking for bruises, and I remember like neighbors peering through their windows. And my mom was like embarrassed. She had just assumed somebody in the neighborhood had called CPS on her. But I remember looking over at Jesse, and he smiles at me. And it wasn't just like a, "it's gonna be okay" smile. It was like a very sinister, dark smile.
Is there anything you need to tell us?
He was just gaining way too much pleasure out of these people questioning us about her.
Amy.
And it made me think that he had caused that day's occurrences, like wanting to turn my mom in for something that she didn't do. As soon as he sensed somebody wanting him to behave in a certain way, he was determined to do the opposite. And that was such an awful day for me, such an awful experience. After CPS left, I remember Mom hugging us both, and then we never really spoke about that day again.
Okay.
Mom always wanted to believe in the best in everybody, but especially her own children. But when I look back at all of Jesse's actions, I see that Jesse's capable of almost anything. I don't think I have happy memories with my brother. Thinking back, there are only sort of tainted, manipulative memories. And it started relatively innocently enough, as the cycle of abuse sometimes does. Money was tight. My mom was a single mother, and I remember one year, I think I was in 5th grade, she had bought me a yearbook, and I begged her. It was like $200 for the yearbook, and I got that yearbook, and I saw my picture, and I hated it, and I scratched my face out of it.
What are you doing in here?
Nice picture.
And my brother found it, and he, oh God, he was like, she's gonna kill you. You just wasted all her money.
Mom is gonna lose it when she sees this.
Made me feel like she was gonna be severely disappointed in me, and I believed it.
Jesse, please.
I won't tell. But then you have to do something for me.
So he blackmailed me to stay home from school. So I did. He starts blackmailing me to do different things, like sexual acts in front of him. He would make me undress in front of him, insert objects inside of myself, and he would keep those items as like totems. You know, he actually never touched me sexually. So it took me years to realize that I had been abused. In fact, I had never even heard the term sibling abuse. I think he knew there was absolutely something wrong with his behavior, and that's why he never touched me. Because he could just say, I never touched her. That only goes to show his shrewdness in terms of manipulation even more. He gained power and happiness from seeing my misery. A few months after the worst parts of it, it actually all ended. I clearly remember one day we were in my mom's room, all three of us, and Jesse wanted me to do something for him. I said no, and he simulated having me wrapped around his finger. He twirled his finger around the other one, and my mom saw that action, and she asked him what that was about.
What is this?
And, you know, we both kind of froze. It was like, wow, what am I gonna admit in this moment?
Amy, what's going on?
He's telling me I have to do whatever he says.
And all I did say was, he's been blackmailing me for something, and that means he's got me wrapped around his finger. And she made me tell her. I showed her my yearbook. Didn't tell her anything else. I was sure that I would be grounded for the rest of my life, but she laughed.
Because of this?
She said, I'm sorry. You thought I would have been that angry about something like that.
Amy, come on, that is nothing.
That's when the sexual abuse stopped entirely, but also when he realized that level of power that he had over me was gone, that's when he started resorting to more physical measures. Jesse was a very volatile person. I mean, he could go from 0 to 600 in the matter of a moment. It was a constant, is he gonna be okay? Is he gonna be nice today? Or is he gonna make my life miserable? I remember the violence really starting to escalate when he was about 16 or 17. I remember I was making myself lunch, I was in the kitchen, and out of nowhere, he just came up behind me and solidly, swiftly kicked me in between my legs. I can't even describe the pain. It radiated through my pelvis for days. I remember hunching over and crying immediately and just looking up at him like, why? I remember my mom was in the room and she was like, what the
Jesse, why did you do that?
I was just curious.
He just said, oh, I just wanted to see if it hurt a woman to be kicked between. Not only was Jesse increasingly violent and increasingly volatile, but he also had this penchant for darkness and death. I can remember one instance in particular. Out of nowhere, Jesse asked Mom if she had ever seen a dead body.
Have you ever seen anyone die?
And she admitted yes, she had.
Unfortunately, yeah. It was horrible.
And he goes, well, like, tell me details. And, you know, was it bloody?
Wait, are you serious? What happened?
When he asked her, I could see her reticence. I could see she didn't want to talk about it, but she explained how there was a party in the neighborhood.
And somehow, some of the kids found a gun and started playing with it.
The teenagers had decided to play Russian roulette. And the parents heard a gunshot, ran over, and my mom said she saw one of the teenagers had shot himself. And, you know, Jesse was just like, what? Tell me more. I mean, he asked her, like, blood everywhere? What color were his brains?
Was it in the head? Did his head explode?
Okay, don't be disgusting. We are not talking about this.
I knew in my heart, and she knew in her heart, I could see it in her face, that it was like confirmation that he had this twisted obsession with all things dark and dangerous. And she ended the conversation right there.
I said we're not talking about this.
We never talked about it again, to be honest. And I really wish I had with my mom. Jesse was very manipulative. So I truly believe he made her think that he would change. But unfortunately, that is not the way things played out. As time went on, his affinity towards weapons worsened. And it scared me immensely to know that he was collecting weapons. Jesse would go online and obtain really almost anything he wanted. I remember him coming home with swords. He definitely had a gun, at least one. And my mom really didn't know some of the extent of things. She didn't know he had guns until he shot me. And I remember just walking into his bedroom to say something. I don't know, I wanted to ask him a question.
Hey, have you seen my CD player? I can't find it.
I looked at him, and he pulled from his side a gun that was all black, and like my heart stopped. I remember standing in his doorway, and he's aiming a gun at me. The look in his eyes, he got too much joy. He was smiling. He was happy seeing the fear in my eyes. It was like he gained so much joy out of other people's fear and pain. I remember thinking, holy you're about to die. Get out of his room. Get away from him. When I turned away from him to get away, he shot me. Ah! And I felt an immense pain in my buttocks. And I realized it was a BB gun that he had shot me with.
What the hell?
Oh, don't be such a baby.
Afterwards, he definitely tried to write off his actions as like, oh, I was just with you. I was messing around. It's brothers. Brothers will do that kind of thing. But his actions spoke much louder than his words. There was absolutely no remorse from him. That was one of the scariest moments of my life. It was awful to live on eggshells, but that is exactly how I lived in that house. It was part of his fear tactic to make sure we knew we weren't really that safe under our own roof. I can remember several instances where Jesse gained so much pleasure from hurting Mom at her worst. She had ankle problems and back problems, which left her wheelchair bound for majority of the healing.
Can you make me some tea?
Maybe later.
So I can remember her getting up out of her wheelchair and him just shoving her down forcefully into it.
Just stay there. I said I would get it.
Stop! He hit her. She couldn't lift herself up and he had left. I would hear her shouting and it would be her calling for me. Amy? It was horrific to see her in so much pain.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But it was even more horrific to see somebody that I thought I had loved want to cause her even more pain. Jesse was dropping out of high school. Jesse didn't have a job. He didn't have a car. He had no way of getting himself out of the house any given day. And Mom was bound to the house at the same time. And he was put in the position of taking care of her.
You can't keep letting him do this to you.
He was angry that he was now stuck at home with my mom, and their relationship just worsened. She would call the cops. I remember the cops came to my house probably upwards of 20 times.
Yeah, it's Jesse again.
But no parent wants their child in jail, and so she would drop the charges. She wanted to protect him, and that's why she would let him back in. This is around the time when he started really hating Mom. And I mean hate with every sense of the word. I was finishing up high school, heading into college, and it got so much worse and so much more violent when Jesse knew I was not going to be home for a while. For instance, one night I was at a fraternity party and I told Mom and Jesse that I would not be coming home, that I would in fact be sleeping over a friend's house that evening. And I remember after like 3 hours or so, going back to my purse and checking my phone just to see if anybody had called. And there were just 20-something missed calls in the last hour or so from my mom.
I'll be right back. Okay.
That left me a pit in my stomach. My first thought was something awful had happened. I immediately called back, and Mom picked up, crying.
What happened? Is everything okay?
And she said, well, I need you home. Jesse attacked me. He grabbed an aerosol can and a lighter and sprayed fire at me.
Well, did you call the police?
Of course, I believed her. I just didn't want to. I remember Mom kicked him out, and we talked about what we were gonna do with Jesse and if we'd allow him back in the house.
Can't keep taking him back like this.
Whenever Mom and Jesse would fight, it always ended with him coming to me and expressing the desire to watch her die.
Stay where you are. I'm coming home.
He'd say, come on, let me just run to Mexico. I'll kill Mom, you split the money with me later. That conversation wasn't one conversation. It was probably 20 conversations. At the time, I did not think he was serious. I never realized he would act on those threats. I was wrapping up college, kind of lost, and trying to find my way a little bit. So I sought some guidance from a psychic. And I told Mom, and Mom loved the idea of going to a psychic. And it was really kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. She shared some things about my past that happened to be spot on. The woman let us take notes. We could write them all out. And I asked Mom to see her notes, and she said no. And I asked her why. And I asked her what the woman said, and she said she wouldn't tell me. She said, I just don't want to talk about it. It's too negative. Those were her words. So that made me think that there was something very ominous mentioned in that conversation. Later on, it became very clear to me that she had warned Mom about Jesse.
I have to talk to you about something.
Okay. It was not long after she said she had just named me the sole beneficiary of an accidental death life insurance policy.
I'm afraid he might do something.
I knew she had several. You know, she had a heart attack policy, she had a cancer policy, but this one was the only policy that covered her murder and did not name my brother as a beneficiary.
Mom, that's crazy. I'm sure he's not. I don't know.
I can't even imagine having that conversation with one of my kids. I could see she was sad. She was kind of just facing a reality she thought could very well happen. It was clear how fearful she was of him.
I'm just overthinking.
But as she's telling me this, I'm in complete denial. I had no clue. I had no way of knowing or truly believing how bad things could get. Mom did, but I didn't.
Hey, don't worry. Nothing is gonna happen.
September 25th, 2007 was kind of just like any other day. I was at work. The first phone call I received was from Mom.
Hi, Mom.
She wanted to know when I was gonna be home.
Is everything okay?
I had a date. I told her it would be some time before I was able to head back. And she said fine and hung up. I felt off. I felt there was something going on at home. Not long after we hung up, I got a call from Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
His voice was tense as well, and he wanted to know when I would be home too.
I don't know. I'm not gonna be home until after 10. I'm going on a date.
Their phone calls were so close together, I got the vibe that this was just not a good evening for both of them. But this wasn't that rare, you know? I would get these phone calls occasionally where I would be needed. And most of the time I would drop what I was doing and come. Other times I couldn't, and this was one of those evenings. Fast forward about an hour or two, I'm on the date, and although I probably wouldn't normally pick up the phone, I think the previous conversations I had with Mom and Jesse had left a pit in my stomach. And so when Mom called me again next, I picked up.
I'm sorry, I have to take this.
Yeah.
Mom?
She wanted to know when I would be home. I told her it would be some time still. I asked her if everything was okay. She said fine. Again, I said, okay, bye.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's just family stuff. So, where were we?
Within a few minutes of getting off the phone with Mom, Jesse was calling me again.
Jesse, I can't talk right now.
I can remember his voice. It was so tense at that time, and instantly very gruff. What are you doing? What are you up to? And I told him I was on a date.
No, I'm still out.
Well, let me know when you're on your way home. And that was our conversation. Basically, he hung up on me. And that was the moment I knew very clearly something was absolutely wrong. I tried to focus on my date, but I could not ignore the nagging sensation that something was wrong.
I think I have to go.
I left my date and I started home with this big pit in my stomach. So I called home.
Come on, Mom, where are you?
And Mom did not pick up. And that was kind of weird, especially since it was like 10 o'clock at night. So I called Jesse. Hey, Mom is not picking up. This is very weird.
Jesse, do you know where Mom is?
And at that point, Jesse told me not to go home. I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going home. It's 10 o'clock at night. Just don't go home. And he hung up. So I called him back again. And he said, I told you, don't go home. And I said, why, Jesse? Come on, like, enough. And he said, I killed Mom. And I think I remember screaming and saying, no, you didn't. I told him to shut up. I told him not to lie to me. And he said, no, I killed Mom. And he hung up and he turned off his phone. I thought to myself, you can go home and see if he's lying. You can call 911 and report it. And that's what I did.
Did he say how he did it?
No, I don't know if it's true. I'm gonna be there in 1 minute.
I would suggest not going in if he's done that.
It was more of a possibility for him to tell me a sick joke like that on the phone, because that had happened millions of times, right? Just to see a reaction, you know? So I think that I just thought, no, not possible.
I'm hoping to God he was lying. I'm sorry if he was. He might have lied. I don't know.
I was on the phone still with the 911 operator as I went into the house.
I'm here.
The grass outside, the police had arrived. Probably around midnight or so, everybody that had amassed outside of our house migrated into my neighbor's home. I don't remember faces. I don't remember like even seeing details. I just remember very tall sheriff's department deputies telling me that Jesse had, after killing Mom, had gone upstairs, washed himself off, changed his clothes, and fled.
Amy?
What happened? Did you find him?
He had called a friend for some help. He told a friend he did something really bad. He needed help, and he needed a ride to Mexico. He was arrested. Did not plan to.
You disgust me.
Eventually, Jesse and I did talk about what happened that night. He was making a sandwich at the counter, and Mom asked him if he would clean up after himself.
I was by the kitchen sink making a sandwich, and I was cutting up cheese, and my mom comes down and she screamed at me, and I told her to relax, and she slaps me, and I just lost it.
I mean, honestly, he's come up behind me and kicked me in the vagina for no reason, so I don't think anything had to precipitate the argument to make him want to hurt her the way he did.
What'd you stab her with? Knife. What kind of knife? Should still be in her neck, I don't know.
I asked for him to take responsibility for what he had done. I asked for him to stop this legal battle that we were embarking on. And he told me he would think about it. And instead, he pled not guilty by reason of diminished capacity. I said, what? And he said, I have to ask you again. Were you part of the plan to kill your mother? And I said, absolutely not. She was my best friend. How could you be asking me that this long into this process? I've talked to you a million times. He pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket, and I could instantly see it was just scribbles of Jesse's writing. He had written this manifesto of sorts to another inmate, professing that I had helped him plan my mom's murder. This is the letter. It says, checks just proves the very worst.
There's something else I should warn you about.
The detective explained that Jesse had asked the inmate to kill me.
Excuse me?
The moment he told me that Jesse had intentions to kill me, I instantly, honestly threw up. I raced to the bathroom and vomited and did not stop. It was almost 4 years after she had been murdered. I now not only had a brother I was trying to convict, but also a death threat looming over my head. I was exhausted. The district attorney said, look, we basically have an option now. We can offer him a plea deal. And I didn't like that idea. But again, I was done.
Fine.
He took that plea deal, which was offered to him. The plea deal was second-degree murder. And he was sentenced and given 15 to life. I received notification April 16th this year, which was only 9.5 years after his conviction, letting me know that he was up for his very first parole hearing. The hearing will be in 2 weeks. I feel shocked. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel devastated and disappointed and heartbroken all over again. I have no clue what I would do if Jesse got out of prison. If I heard the words that he was being released, I would run as far away from this state as possible so he couldn't find me and my kids.
That morning, I think I just woke up with a sense of dread and also a sense of prepare for anything. The hearing was officially the first time I saw my brother in about 10 years. And he was staring right at me and he said hello and it made me sick. One of the first things he said was that he has stabbed over 90 people since getting into prison. And he was smirking when he was talking about how many people he had stabbed. And at that point, he chose to recite my address and then tell me that he could have my whole family and myself killed if he wanted to. It was really shocking and gutting in that moment. And he kept, at that point, going like this, crossing his thumb actually, across his throat at me. When the hearing was complete, the outcome was officially that we would be returning to the hearing room and another parole hearing in 2 years. I have my own life sentence that I'll do this until he dies, I die, or he gets out. Victims like myself, we shouldn't feel like we're given a death sentence after we've experienced murder. I think that we should be given some sort of peace. I am definitely taking precautions, and I'm considering moving, to be honest. Nothing would give me greater joy to see him as a different, happy, healed person, but that's not possible. And this parole hearing made it incredibly painfully clear. So I would like to see him behind bars the rest of his life. And I hope that that is how our story plays out.
I don't think a 7-year-old little girl should be thinking about anything like that at all. I was always just so afraid of death and always just waiting for it to come around the corner. I was terrified. So I was a child and somebody was taking advantage of how innocent I was, ripping my innocence away from me and using it against me. And I think that that is just the worst and most disgusting form of manipulation. And it just brings me a lot of anger, honestly. Right. This is Teresa. She looks scary to me. She looks evil. Like there's no emotion. This woman had no emotion for me, her child. I ultimately started to blame myself. I did something wrong because the one person in my life who was supposed to love me didn't. If my own mother couldn't love me, then who could? That love is supposed to be so genuine and so pure. I was born in August of 1995, and I grew up in a very small town called Urbana, Ohio. In my family, I had 5 half-sisters and 1 half-brother. I was the youngest of all of us. My dad, he was an incredible father. Him and I did everything together. He was my best friend. But he was a very busy man with his job, and I knew that he was essentially the one supporting our family. Teresa Milbrand is my biological mother. I wholeheartedly believe that my dad loved his wife and trusted her like anyone would in that kind of a relationship. And with him working, she was my primary caregiver. And so I think that he really, truly just trusted her like he should have. I think I really started to want to call her Teresa because I don't ever feel like she was a mother to me. She was the reason I lost everything in my life and was basically abandoned. And I don't feel like she deserves that title. I always kind of explained her as like Jekyll and Hyde, as like she, in a public setting, she was the mother that we wanted. She was loving and gave us hugs and held our hands. But then like behind closed doors, it was, you stayed away from her. I remember like falling off of my bike one time and she was the only one that was home and I ran inside with a scraped knee. And I remember hurting really bad. And she, you know, was sitting on the couch and she kind of looked at me and told me, like, you know where the first aid kit is, you know where things are. I don't know why you're crying.
Doesn't even look that bad.
She didn't care. It was always just very an emotional detachment is what it felt like. She didn't play with me. She didn't want to have any type of interaction whatsoever with me at all. She really didn't do baths, showers, putting us to bed, things like that. We were kind of always just fending for ourselves.
You need to grow up.
I do remember feeling like there was something wrong with me, that she couldn't give me that kind of love. You know, I would see my other friends with their moms, and their moms were so involved and so, like, interactive with them and just very visibly loving with, like, hugs and holding hands, and that was never the mother that I saw. And the only times I really felt like she did was if other people were around, like visibly watching, and that was kind of tough because it was a back and forth of, you know, do you do this because you love me now, or do you actually feel this way? It was very like hot and cold, and it was hard to get a grip on like which version of her was the real version. What I remember of her most is the walking on eggshells, not wanting to do anything wrong, leaving anything out of place, just honestly doing anything that you felt like could set her off. She would be normal, and then she would throw huge fits over things.
Who did this? Huh?
There was one time that we walked into the kitchen and she had a spoon that was left in a bowl of milk in the sink, and she brought it in and was like whipping it around.
Is this acceptable to you? Is it?
It was like gross and had milk on it, and she's like, this is disgusting. Do you think I have the time to clean this up? No, this is your job. You clean it up. And was going about how everybody was lazy and she's not the only person that lives here, and quit acting like this, and made a huge deal out of it. And it was just out of nowhere. And it just became so frequent that it was almost normal. Like, you just became accustomed to Teresa's tantrums. And then she broke a coffee mug because it was left on the counter.
How's this?
She just dropped it on the floor. Quite honestly, me nor my siblings seemed to want to be around her.
Make yourselves useful. I'm done.
A lot of the time we would spend in our rooms because we were afraid to mess anything up or to have any form of interaction with her, because we knew that if we did anything at all, she'd find a way to, you know, belittle us or yell at us, and it was just not something we wanted to do or deal with. So in this photo, I want to say I was like 4 or 5, and it was Halloween. This photo makes me kind of emotional a little bit. It's looking at this, like, the happy Hannah, the little Hannah that I often fight for, just was so carefree and so happy. Talking about the little version of me is like, that's a tough one for me. I feel like it's just like, I want to hug her. I wish I could just squeeze her and tell her that although things were gonna be really, really hard, you get to be that again, and you'll get to be able to be the happy Hannah again. You can tell I was just like a happy-go-lucky little girl, and she had absolutely no idea what was coming, and it was coming so soon. I just remember Teresa almost like switching to a different person, and it was just more emotionally there for me. Like if I was crying, it wasn't figure it out on your own. It was like the coddling and the hugs and the, oh, it's okay, I'll take care of you kind of thing. How's that? She started to help with like bath time, which was never a thing. Whereas this now was like she was very much in there helping me brush my teeth and also like putting me to bed and tucking me in and laying there with me. And that was just something that she's never done before. Time for bed. And I remember thinking, like, what changed? And I remember also thinking it had to have been me. Like, maybe I'm different, and maybe now I'm more lovable, and so that's why she's being this way. But I was happy with it. It was what I always wanted. Now I get to have this love and attention from her, and I'm making her happy. And I'd never seen her happy before, and it felt good. Looking back and knowing that like it was all a lie and thinking about the person who's supposed to love me unconditionally was beginning to essentially ruin or destroy her child's life. It makes me physically ill. And for her to be able to finish what she was doing and get a good night's sleep like that, it's disgusting to me. Like, it truly is. Teresa was very much the person that cared about her self-image. And I think that she wanted people to look at her, and she liked that kind of attention. She used to take me to department stores to get professional pictures. She was like showing me off to everyone, and that wasn't something she did before. She would be like, oh, isn't my daughter beautiful? I remember a woman had complimented how beautiful I was and was talking to me about my dress and the things I was wearing. And that was when Teresa like interjected and said, oh yeah, she's beautiful. She's my $1 million baby. She always referred to me as like her $1 million baby. She's gonna make me so much money someday, I know it. I had never really liked to be the center of attention. I feel like I was being forced into doing it, but I did it to make her happy. Doing what makes her happy is what's gonna get the love I want. So I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that she loves me. It makes me sick thinking that she saw me as a price tag and not as her baby. Looking back, I really feel like that was the start of her plan. I think that that was the start of her realizing, like, oh, I could make a lot of money off of this child, and like, I'm gonna see how far I can absolutely take this. There was a lot of interactions that I witnessed with her and my siblings. She used to call my older sister Cinderella and would tell her that she was only good for cleaning and she wasn't good for anything else. She used to call her like ding dong and stupid, very like generic, mean, just nasty names, and would laugh and think it was funny when it was visibly hurting her. I remember her always saying very belittling things about her to kind of almost create this wedge that she wanted between the two of us. And My older sister decided that she had enough and she was gonna go live with her biological father. My sister was upstairs in her bedroom packing her things. Her and I were very close, and I didn't want her to leave, and I was begging her not to go and like crying and telling her to stay.
Don't leave me alone with her.
That really set Teresa off.
I have to.
She didn't like it. She felt like she was losing some sort of control with her.
You want to leave? You want to act like an adult, make decisions for yourself?
And Teresa came in the room and was taking my sister's things and was throwing them in a trash bag and telling her that she wasn't to interact with me anymore.
You get nothing!
And she was ripping up pictures of like my sister and I together. And she looked at my sister and said to her, I need you to look at Hannah and tell her that you don't love her anymore. And she wouldn't do it. And so Teresa started just screaming at the top of her lungs at her. And I remember I got very scared. I remember running to my dad, who had just gotten home about in the middle of all of this happening. And I ran straight to him as soon as I heard his voice.
What's wrong?
I was standing behind his legs because I was scared. My mom's yelling, and she picked that mirror up and threw it at me and my dad. There was this loud crash, and I remember looking back and seeing it stuck in the wall. Glass everywhere, just shattered everywhere, and thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just threw that at the both of us.
What the hell's the matter with you?
My dad was helping my sister get all of her things, and he was consoling her. I remember sitting in the corner, terrified, like crying and shaking and not knowing like, how long is this gonna last? When he was around, it was a sense of relief. You only had a certain amount of time until he was gone, and anticipating him leaving was like one of the things I hated the most, is knowing he was gonna leave and I was gonna have to be with her again for several days. Without him was extremely nerve-wracking because he seemed to be the peacekeeper. I didn't understand anything that the doctor and Teresa were talking about. And we left, and I remember Teresa saying on the phone that something is wrong with Hannah and you need to come to the house immediately. Once we got home, there were several people there. Teresa's mother was there, and her husband, my grandfather, was there. My dad was there. I sat and just kind of waited to find out what was happening. And she tells all of us that they did a CAT scan and they found a small spot on the base of my spine, the tip, like the size of the tip of a pen. And they believe that it was leukemia.
Our little girl is sick.
And everybody just got very emotional or very quiet. I remember my dad crying immediately and also trying to hold it in. And I was very confused. I have never heard of that word before, so I had no idea what that meant. It was terrifying. My dad kind of stood up. He came over and he's like, why don't you and I take a break from all of this?
Let's take a walk.
I remember asking him, like, Dad, what does leukemia mean and why is everybody so sad? And he said, leukemia is like cancer. And I understood cancer because I had lost somebody in our family from that. And I knew what that meant. And I was like, but I don't feel sick. Like, I feel as though I just have a stuffy nose. How is that cancer? And he was like, well, it's not for you to understand. We'll figure this out together and it'll be okay. And I remember sitting there, things just flying through my mind and wondering, like, what does this mean? And am I gonna die? Like, I know that that's what happens if you have this, and am I gonna die? And I feel like I wish I could. I wish I could protect her and just let her know that it was gonna be okay, that this wasn't gonna be the end, although I thought it was. It wasn't. Teresa had worked in the medical field. I don't know like the full degree of her healthcare background, but I do remember her being a home health nurse. Teresa was explaining to me, at this appointment, you're gonna have chemo treatments. And when you have chemo treatments, you're gonna feel kind of nauseous and tired, having headaches. And then also explaining to me that after so many amount of chemo treatments that I would lose my hair. And it was just so abrupt. We just went from, I have a cold, to now you have leukemia, and it just didn't seem real. And I was devastated. Teresa was essentially saying, I know that you're afraid of the doctor, so when we go to the doctor, I'm gonna give you medicine to help you get through these appointments. And I didn't think anything of it. And then she'd given me this little blue pill, and I remember it tasting absolutely horrible. And she was like, okay, this is gonna make you sleepy, but you won't remember any of the doctor's appointments. It'll all be okay. I'll take care of you. And it would be maybe like 5 or 10 minutes after I would take the medicine, I would get extremely tired and I couldn't fight it, and I would fall asleep. And time would go by and I'd wake up very groggy. Oh, like, you're awake. We went to the doctor and this is what happened. I accepted all of that she was saying. I knew in my heart, I thought that she was doing what was right and she was gonna take care of me, right? She's my mother, she's gonna take care of me. So I didn't ask any more questions about the medication. It was really early in the morning. I was getting ready to go to school and I needed to brush my teeth, and I had turned the light on to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I had basically no hair. And I remember screaming. Mom! And Teresa came running into the bathroom and was like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, my hair is gone. What happened? Where did it go? And she had said that, oh, I told you this was gonna happen.
Hannah, we talked about this.
I remember kind of like freezing and feeling like, this isn't real. Like, that I knew that I was gonna lose it, but it was like, I had figured I would lose it in chunks and I would have been more prepared and like I would have known it was happening. And for me to just, I went to bed with a head full of hair and I wake up and now it's just in patches, was such a like shock that I just couldn't understand. And it was devastating. I just was begging her, like, I don't want to go to school. You can't make me do this anymore. Can I stay home? Please don't make me go there. Please don't make me go through this anymore. And I don't want people to make fun of me and tell me I look like a little boy. I don't want that. So I went to school and I cried the whole way there. And when we got there, I walked into my classroom and everybody was staring at me. And I remember in that moment thinking, I never want to have to come back here again. And I knew I was going to have to relive that feeling every single day. No matter what I said, no matter how I reacted, no matter how heartbroken, devastated, emotional I was, it didn't matter. All that mattered was what she said, and what Teresa said went. So I think at that point, honestly, I stopped fighting back. I started seeing a therapist for death counseling when it was probably about 6 or so months into the illness, and Teresa started saying that the end was becoming near, that I was getting worse, and that death probably wasn't far away. And I remember her asking me to draw how it felt the day that I found out about the tumor or the cancer. And what I remember, how I was feeling, to see that I was like such sadness. Like there's so much sadness in this, and that I at such a young age was so intuitive in remembering how hard and emotional that day was, but also so confusing. It's tough.
Ma'am, she's sick. She hit her head.
My dad had gone straight to the nurse's station, was like, you need to help her. She has leukemia, she's very ill, and this is where she goes for treatments. We're not from here. Just kind of very much so running through everything so quickly, so hysterically. Then they left me in this little room that I was in, and they were getting ready to prep me for stitches. And I was crying, and I wanted him in there.
Where's my dad?
I was yelling at the nurses saying, like, don't touch me until I have my dad. Outside of the room, you could visibly tell that Teresa and my dad were arguing, and I could hear vaguely what they were saying. And I remember my dad saying to Teresa, they can't find any record of Hannah. What's going on?
I can't remember every place that we stopped.
In that moment, I don't think I was thinking anything. I just remember looking at him and seeing how terrified he was, and it scared me. She was angry, her hands were going, her face was getting red. And that was when Teresa said, I know that she sees certain specialists. They can be kind of hard to locate. Hannah was in an emergency situation. She was kind of going around the actual answer. And I remember she was very anxious.
They don't have a single file on our daughter. How do you explain that?
Relax. Okay.
Kind of felt like she was just grasping at whatever she could. I think this was the moment that my dad truly realized something was really wrong, and he was about to be in a very bad situation.
What have you done, Hannah?
but wasn't sure what he was gonna do or how to handle it or what to say or what to believe. I think at that moment, he realized something wasn't right. It seemed to be like everything after that moment was just like chaos. It was very soon after that, everybody knew the truth. It's like, okay. And he was like, so what do you want me to tell you first? And I was like, the good things. And he said, well, you're not sick. And I remember being so confused and relieved and happy and sad at the same time because it was so confusing. What do you mean?
You're gonna be okay.
But that makes me have to tell you the sad thing, and that is that your mom has done something really bad. And she has lied, and she had taken money from people, and people are really angry and upset with her because she told a lie about you and that you are sick when you're not. And she made it all up. And as a child, wrapping my mind around that was impossible. And I was so happy that I wasn't going to die. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, I was so happy that it wasn't gonna end, I wasn't gonna die. But why did my mom do this to me? Why did she lie about this? And for what? Trying to understand the reasoning behind it was just something at that age I could not wrap my brain around. And I just remember really focusing on being happy and like, I'm not gonna die. I can go back to my normal life. Everything's gonna be fine now. I was just, I'm not dying. And that's all I cared about. I wasn't sick anymore. Everything was gonna go back to normal. And then all of a sudden, I'm just ripped away from my family again. The social worker that ended up taking me away from my father that night, she essentially took me to a foster family. I was being taken away from them, and there was nothing I could do to stop it from happening. And it was so scary. And I think I remember it being in that home and thinking, waiting for my dad, that, you know, dying seemed almost like it would have been the better option at that point, because it was like, I knew what heaven was beautiful. This was not. This was like my worst nightmare. It was like I was living my biggest fear. After a few weeks of being at my foster home, my foster family let me know that both of my parents had been arrested. They didn't say that they were charged with anything. They just told me that they were both arrested and put in jail. As far as I know, my dad's attorney was wanting me to stand trial and kind of defend my father, but my father decided that I had been through enough, that I was too young to stand such a grand trial. I don't think there was anybody really in the community who believed that either one of them was innocent. I think they were grouped together very quickly. As far as the crimes that were committed, I feel like Teresa's definitely the one who would be fully responsible, and I think that he is innocent in this situation. I feel like Teresa knew that my father wasn't involved, and I think she had the opportunity to speak up and say that. But I think that She didn't want to essentially go down for this by herself. It's so easy to believe on an outside looking in perspective. There's no way he has no idea. And I think she knew that. And I think all along, that was her plan. I think she knew all along that essentially she wouldn't have to go down by herself and it wouldn't all be on her. And I think that it made it easier for her to do those things. Finding out that she was. If I had to seriously be honest about her end goal of all of it, and I really think what she was trying to get out of it is, I really truly believe that Teresa was out to kill me. I think I couldn't tell you why. I wish I did. I wish I knew why. It's a question that will forever haunt me. I do think she was willing to sacrifice my life for anything that was going to make hers better. I think that she wanted everything for herself. Everything was always about her, and I think that me as a sacrifice didn't seem like a sacrifice to her. It seemed like the only way to get what she needed. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It is the purest form of being evil. Like, she truly just was an evil person. I don't think it feels fair at all. I think that, if I'm gonna be completely honest, I think she deserved a much longer sentence. I truly feel like I serve a life sentence to what she did to me. I fight that battle every day. I fought that battle for a long time, and I probably will for the rest of my life. And for her to only spend 6 years, I just feel like it's not fair. It doesn't seem right, and it's kind of scary to think that, like, she just gets to live a life like nothing ever happened. It's really unfair. My father and I are extremely close. He is my very best friend. I could not have gotten to the point that I am today without his love, his support, his undying love for me. He has never wavered in who he is. And to this day, he is the most amazing father, and even better, he's the most amazing grandfather to my babies. I now have a beautiful family, a loving husband, and finding him was something I never thought would happen. And I think my ultimate fear was, could I be a mother? What was it like to be a mother? I never had one. I didn't know what that looked like. And then I had both of my beautiful children, and never for a second did I question what it would be like to be a mother. It was so instinctual, and I have never felt such love. But I know in my heart that God gave me the children I have to prove to me that I am capable of so much love, and I am a fantastic mother and a wonderful wife. I have just such a beautiful life. I am so blessed to have the things that I do, and I never thought that I would have this life. You know, little me never thought that we would even make it past 6, and now I am creating a life so much further past that, and it's amazing.
I recorded all of it. I told myself I was giving them immortality. In truth, I was giving myself momentum. And momentum, once it starts, doesn't stop for morality. But ambition isn't just hunger, it's blindness. I didn't notice when I stopped asking whether recording was right. I didn't notice when the story started to feel like currency. I didn't notice when I began nudging conversations, hoping to coax out something powerful, a well-timed question here, an extra moment of silence there, a gentle, "Are you okay?" that opened someone just a little wider. I told myself I was being empathetic, but empathy is clean. This wasn't clean. I knew the truth. I just didn't want to see it. I was feeding something inside me, something growing teeth. Then came the night that would later return to destroy me. A woman entered my taxi, alone, quiet, wrapped in a dark coat, her hair damp from the rain. I remember her hands, delicate, trembling slightly as she held her phone, then lowered it, then exhaled in a way that told me she'd been carrying something heavy for too long. She asked me to drive without a destination. "Just around," she said. Her voice was soft and brittle, like thin glass. I felt the recorder's presence like a pulse. For the first 10 minutes, she said nothing. Then, slowly, she unraveled. She spoke about a man she loved who wasn't hers. She spoke about guilt so sharp it felt like an animal clawing inside her. She spoke about wanting to disappear, about wanting to be forgiven, about fearing she never would be. I drove and listened and said almost nothing. Her confession was luminous in its vulnerability, painful, beautiful in the way tragedies sometimes are. Every instinct told me this was the kind of story that could echo, and I recorded it, even as part of me whispered that I shouldn't, even as her words felt sacred, even as her voice cracked in a way that felt private beyond measure. I recorded it anyway, because ambition, once it reaches a certain temperature, melts the boundaries you swore you'd keep. That night, when she stepped out of the taxi, she thanked me. "Thank you for hearing me," she said. Not listening, hearing, as if I had truly held her, even just for a moment. When she walked away, I watched her disappear into the rain, and something inside me shifted. Not guilt, not yet, but a premonition, faint and far away, like thunder you don't realize is getting closer. I released her episode 2 weeks later. It became the most successful confession in the entire series. People wept over it. People wrote essays about it. People speculated about her identity, calling her the voice of modern loneliness. They didn't know her, but I did. A little. Enough to feel something twist inside me. But the twist was small. The applause was louder. I should have stopped then. I should have felt the ethical fault line beneath my feet. But temptation is a gentle liar. It doesn't drag you forward. It beckons you. And I followed. Because for the first time in my life, people weren't just listening. They were listening to me. My narration. My curation. My voice tying their stories together, shaping them, elevating them. Ambition hooked its fingers into me and pulled, and I let it. Nights blurred. That's the simplest way to say it. Blurred like wet paint, like streets smeared under neon, like boundaries dissolving in the rearview mirror. I became the taxi confessor. People didn't know my face, only my voice. only the hush in my tone when I said, "Tonight, someone spoke the kind of truth most of us avoid." The city changed around me. Or maybe I changed and the city just reflected it back. Athens after midnight is a creature with two hearts. One beats slow, cafes closing, metro lights flickering, stray cats slipping between shadows. The other beats wild, bars swelling with laughter, bodies spilling into alleys, cigarette smoke floating like prayers that never reach the sky. I started to chase the second heart. I waited outside nightclubs where people stumbled into my taxi half drunk, half sad, fully open. Their words loosened by alcohol, by loneliness, by the illusion that the dark protects them. They told me things they'd never say in daylight. And I captured all of it. I told myself I was documenting human nature, but the truth? I was hunting. I'd watch passengers from the mirror, noticing the tremble in their smile, the way their fingers tapped their knee, the breath they took before speaking. Every gesture became a signal. A woman laughing too loudly? Masking something. A man falling silent mid-sentence? Hiding something. A couple arguing in half whispers? Perfect material. My questions sharpened. My instincts sharpened. My hunger sharpened. Are you all right? Do you want to talk about it? Sometimes strangers are easiest to speak to. I heard myself say those lines like I'd rehearsed them, and they worked. People opened. People spilled. People confessed. Confessions became currency, and I became rich in ways that had nothing to do with money. My taxi smelled like spilled secrets, leather and rain and perfume and fear. I remember one night, a group of students, loud and careless, they started telling stories about their worst mistakes, daring each other to top the last. It was chaotic, crude, hilarious. Their recording went viral. The next morning, someone messaged me, "Your episodes feel like nightlife without the hangover." Another wrote, "You make us feel seen." These words fed me. Fed something inside me I didn't even know was starving. I began editing with obsession, cutting breaths, shaping pauses, crafting emotional arcs from the raw clay of strangers' lives. I took long drives after shifts, windows down, playing raw audio through the speakers and listening to how suffering and joy echoed against buildings at 3 a.m. I'd watch my own reflection in shop windows as I drove past, blurry, stretched, like I was becoming someone I didn't recognize, someone important, someone in demand, someone who mattered. Soon, people wanted to talk. They entered my taxi already rehearsing their